In the last 24 hours, America once again has been shaken by mass shootings. 3 separate attacks in 3 different states, claiming lives and leaving communities devastated. Michigan, Texas, and North Carolina, 3 places that now share the same scar. And while every shooting has its own circumstance, there's a common thread we can't ignore: the toxic political climate we are all living in. Rhetoric from our leaders, online tribalism, and the way anger now bleeds into violence. It's a cocktail that's pushing some people over the edge. And it's time, finally, for the adults in the room to stand up and say, enough. Let's break down each of these shootings, what we know about the suspects, the body counts, the injuries, and yes, the possible political connections. And then let's have a harder conversation. Why are we seeing this disturbing trend grow even worse? We start with Grand Blanc Township in Michigan. Sunday morning around 10:25, members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints were gathered for worship, but their peace was shattered when Thomas Jacob Sanford, a 40-year-old man from nearby Burton, drove his pickup truck straight through the chapel doors. He jumped out of his truck with a firearm and opened fire on the congregates. Not only that, but he doused the building in gasoline and he set it ablaze. Police responded quickly, and Sanford was killed by officers on the scene. At least 4 people are dead and 8 others are injured. So what do we know about Sanford? Investigators describe this as a targeted act of violence. Reports indicate that outside his home was a Trump campaign sign. He had also signed petitions, conservative causes in the past, including one to repeal state pandemic laws and powers, another to restrict abortion. Now, that doesn't prove motive, no, but it paints a picture of a man who at least had strong political leanings. And in a country where anger and rhetoric have boiled over, those leanings can be weaponized into something deadly. Now, police are still combing through his devices, his home, for more answers. And what we know right now is this man, a man fueled by rage, turned a place of worship into a battlefield. Now, let's move on. Next, we go south to Eagle Pass, Texas, at the Kickapoo Lucky Eagle Casino. Just after midnight, chaos erupted when a 34-year-old Kieran Jones opened fire inside the casino. The result, 2 people dead, 5 injured. Among the dead was a retired Customs and Border and Protection agent. Jones tried to flee the scene, leading police on a chase that spanned multiple counties. His getaway ended after officers performed a pit maneuver to disable his vehicle. He now faces 2 counts of capital murder and 5 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Now, unlike in Michigan, we don't know much about Jones's political or ideological views. Nothing credible has surfaced about his motives or his background beyond the immediate crime. And the lack of information may just be as chilling because it reminds us that in today's America, it doesn't always take ideology to fuel a killing spree. Sometimes it's just pure anger, then chaos and depression magnified by access to weapons and an environment where violence is normalized. And then there's the third attack, this time in Southport, North Carolina, at a waterfront bar and restaurant called American Fish Company. Around 9:30 p.m. Saturday night, patrons were enjoying music and drinks when a boat pulled up near the shore. From that boat, a gunman opened fire on the crowd, unleashing hell before fleeing back into the water. The shooter has been identified as Nigel Max Edge, 40 years old, from Oak Island. Police say the attack was highly premeditated, targeted, and he wasn't just some guy who snapped in the moment. He came armed with a short-barreled AR rifle. He had it equipped with a suppressor, a folding stock, and a scope. This was a military-style preparation for an ambush. 3 people dead and 5 others were wounded in this attack. Edge tried to make his escape by boat, but he was caught within a half hour by the Coast Guard. He is now charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder and 5 counts of attempted murder. At this point, we don't have details about his political affiliations, no clear signs of ideology, though there is suspicion that's been floating around online that he was a registered Republican. go with that what you want, but it doesn't prove any motive, and we should stay away from guessing at this point. 3 shootings in less than 24 hours, 4 dead in Michigan, 2 dead in Texas, 3 dead in North Carolina. That's 9 lives that have been taken and nearly 20 people injured in just one day. And here's where we need to talk about the bigger picture. We're living in a time when rhetoric from politicians, from media, and online spaces is feeding into tribalism. And regular people, often already struggling with anger, fear, and instability, are pushed closer and closer to the edge. In the case of Sanford in Michigan, the political overtones were visible: Trump signs, petitions, and an environment where enemies are dehumanized. In the case of Jones in Texas and Edge in North Carolina, the motives are less clear, but the violence is no less real. And when you step back, the trend becomes undeniable. America is becoming more violent, more polarized, more willing to settle disputes with blood. We can argue about left versus right. We can argue about guns, policy, mental health. But underneath all of this is this truth. Our culture has grown addicted to anger. We've normalized conflict, and too many people now think violence is the solution. So what do? First, we need to stop pretending this is normal. It's not. 3 mass shootings in a single day is not something any healthy society can accept. Second, we need leaders from both sides of the aisle to stop pouring gasoline on the fire. When rhetoric is about enemies and traitors and fascists and communists and left-wing and Antifa and all of this stuff, we only lose as a society because we're not solving any problems. And there's always people out there who are willing to take these words literally. Third, we as citizens need to demand better. We need to stop rewarding the most extreme voices online. We need to stop letting algorithms dictate our emotional state. And we need to remember that our neighbors, even the ones we disagree with, are not enemies to be destroyed. They are people to be lived with. Because if we don't, then what happened in Michigan, Texas, and North Carolina won't be outliers. They'll just be previews. 9 lives are gone in 24 hours. Families are broken. Communities are scared. America is at a crossroads. We can continue down this path of anger and bloodshed, or we can demand that our adults in the room finally stand up and lead us towards something better. The choice is ours, but the time is running out. If you don't already support our work over on Substack, please check us out. Link is in the bio and in the description.